In this video, what in the world is going on in the stock market? This is the Nasdaq. It is currently shooting way up into all-time highs. And let me remind you that we are seeing record unemployment globally. So why are the stock markets pumping? Well, I know the reason, and many of you already know the reason. It is massive amounts of currency printing, and it gets even crazier. Two major stocks that have even filed for bankruptcy, they are rallying like never before. We are witnessing an environment we have never seen before. And I'm pretty sure that the reaction or the consequence of the current environment will also be something that we have never seen before. But it's not going to be pretty, guys. It is not going to be pretty. And in the Bitcoin price, I am going to show you a new pattern that might be forming here. And I will show you exactly in the chart where the target is. And if you think that that sounds interesting, then I think that you should definitely watch this video. Hello guys, and welcome to the moon. My name is Carl and I'm going to bring you this Bitcoin video. And before I go in and talk about all of this stock market craziness, I just want to show you the Bitcoin price here and what I am seeing. This is the 1 hour time frame, and if we were to make a very detailed analysis here, first of all, we can see that Bitcoin is potentially still in this diamond pattern, and we haven't really seen any bigger reaction as a breakout yet. So it seems like we're still in this pattern, but I've also told you that I don't really think that we should pay too much attention to this pattern because it's very hard to trade. But if we do see a big reaction, then basically we should really pay attention. And if you want to know more about this pattern, make sure to watch my video from yesterday or the day before. In this video, I want to take a look at something else, and that is a potential head and shoulders pattern here on the 1 hour time frame. If I pull this line like this and connect all of these points here, basically we see two big fake outs, or whatever you want to call them, below this neckline. But we do see one potential shoulder right there, a potential head, and then another potential shoulder. You could also make this out as a double shoulder here, and this is something that happens every now and then, and as you can see, it might even become a triple shoulder. It doesn't really matter how many shoulders we get. The only thing that's really important is that we have one shoulder there, a big head, and then a shoulder here. So this is reason enough for me to keep a close attention on this neckline, and if Bitcoin breaks this neckline, then it is potentially so that we might see a sell-off. And let me show you the target. How we basically measure the target. We pull the line up here, the whole head, and then we pull this line down to a potential breakout point. Let's say we break out right there. Then this would give us a target of $8,464 approximately, and essentially from that level, this would be a almost 11% dump. Now, if we were to see something like that happen, we should also keep in mind that we do have a pretty strong, solid support level coming up here. This trend line would give Bitcoin some problems, of course, or give the bears some problems, rather. And if we do see a breakdown, it's possible that we might get a bounce off of these levels, and this level would approximately be in the $9.1 thousand level. Remember though that head and shoulders patterns, they should never ever be traded until we break the neckline. And it is not even a very beautiful head and shoulders pattern, so be cautious here. But if we do see a big reaction from a breaking of this neckline, then you could make the case that a trade down to at least 9.1K here could be reasonable. And if we do break this level also, then it is possible that Bitcoin is going to come down all the way down to this potential target of $8,500 approximately. You can see that this level actually lines up quite nicely with the previous support from this level. We did see some support right there. This is basically where that target would be. So this target would make sense from two different reasons. Previous support and this head and shoulders target zone. And guys, I don't think you understand how happy you make me when you like my videos, when you engage, when you leave comments. It truly motivates me to wake up every day, make these videos for you. Thank you so much, guys. And if you're new to this channel, make sure to click this subscribe button, and if you haven't done it already, make sure to click this bell icon and click all. That is very, very important if you want to see my videos daily. And next up, Coinbase is getting called out on Twitter for working with the IRS and DEA. And this has stirred up a lot of emotion in the crypto space because in the crypto space, people clearly care about freedom and privacy and all of that stuff. A recent tweet by Samson Mao suggested that Coinbase isn't a safe place to store Bitcoin. Specifically, Mao suggested that the company would be the first to comply with a 1933 style confiscating demand by the federal government. And this is referencing the 1933 gold confiscation by the US government, where they basically told everyone to turn in their gold to the government. This is something that could potentially happen with Bitcoin, but of course it's extremely hard for governments to find your Bitcoin unless, of course, you're using a third party like Coinbase, and Coinbase rats you out. And Mao said the following, quote, "Coinbase has consistently been one of the worst actors in this space, either intentionally or through incompetence. Now they want to sell their blockchain surveillance software to the DEA and IRS. With many people storing their Bitcoin on exchanges like Coinbase, which could have nearly 1 million coins, that puts a lot of Bitcoin at risk of confiscation by a 6102 type executive order." And personally, I didn't really think about this before, but of course this is a real problem. If players like Coinbase comply with crazy regulations like this, like a confiscation regulation, then basically your Bitcoin on Coinbase could be gone because they're just going to hand it over to the government, because if they don't, then maybe the employees of Coinbase are going to end up in jail. So this just gives even more reason to keep your money off of the exchanges. Just like you don't want to store more money in the bank than you can afford to lose, make sure to not store enough or more money on exchanges than you can afford to lose. So withdraw your Bitcoin. Withdraw them over to a ledger. I have links down below if you want to buy a Ledger Nano S or a Ledger Nano X. Become your own bank. Control your own private keys. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. All of these things I've been saying for years, and of course it might sound repetitive, but it's very, very important. And if you didn't do this yet, withdraw your Bitcoin onto your ledger, and this way you can sleep at night knowing that no one can just take your Bitcoin from you. The Bitcoin are now yours. And if you are looking for an alternative to Coinbase, in my opinion, if you're looking for a fiat gateway, I would say Kraken is probably the best player right now we have. I don't know if they are gonna comply with a similar regulation. Probably they would. I know that there has been a lot of complaints against Coinbase, but I have not seen the same complaints against Kraken. And once again, I do have affiliate links down below to Kraken and Ledger if you do want to check them out. And next up, what in the world is happening with the stock market? I mean, I thought I had seen it all, but clearly this is a scenario that I did not expect. I thought that the big crash that we saw just a couple of months ago here was going to eventually continue, because there is nothing that fundamentally would give reason for stock markets to rally right now, except from the actual reason for why it's happening, all of the currency printing. Yeah, the only reason why this is pumping now is because of massive amounts of currency getting printed all around the world. This is a graph of the total assets of major central banks. We can see that ever since 2008, we did see this big reaction. They started to print a lot of currency to save the economy from falling after the last financial crisis. And since then, we've seen a huge amount of currency getting printed. This is way more than they should be printing. This is only because of the financial crisis. And the interesting part is that the reaction we're seeing now is even bigger than the initial reaction of the financial crisis. So we're clearly seeing huge amounts of currency getting printed. And the red line here is the Federal Reserve currency printing. And we also have the ECB, the BOJ, and the PBOC respectively here. And of course, the Fed is the one that has been the most aggressive. And I think that all of this currency that has been printed here They started to print here exactly down here when this really started to take off to the upside. So it's quite obvious what is causing this Nasdaq rise. So this is the Nasdaq composite, and it is at an all-time high. And with record unemployment, I just cannot. I cannot see how this can be justified in any shape, way, or form. And I wrote this tweet. I said, apparently, record unemployment is a good thing for stocks. Monday was the third day straight with over 6 billion shares traded on Nasdaq, all of which would have been higher than any day in history. In perspective, from 2009 until 2020, there wasn't even one single day with 5 billion shares. And now we had 3 of them straight with 6 billion shares. This clearly shows that something is way, way off. I mean, record unemployment, and then we see these stock market records like we've never seen them before. And once again, I cannot say this enough. When you print currency into oblivion, this is the reaction. This is what happens. Just like in Zimbabwe and in Venezuela, when you print currency, it would seem like the stock market is doing extremely well, but it's only fake. It's just artificial. It's not real. It's just artificial pumping of the prices. And here we have the S&P 500 and the number of S&P stocks with a 14-day RSI over 70. And we can see that we are clearly going into a massive overbought territory where over 200 stocks are above 70 in the 14-day RSI. Usually you see like a small build up, and it builds up, and eventually you reach these high levels. But here it's just from one month to the other, boom, straight up into way above 70. But guys, it gets even crazier. Look at this. Bankruptcy is the new bull signal. Remember how many thought that there would be a bull market for bankruptcy lawyers back in March? Turned out to be slightly different version of bankruptcy bull. Well, because Hertz and J.C. Penney rallying after bankruptcy. This is the craziest thing I've seen in a very long time. Both Hertz and J.C. Penney have filed for bankruptcy, and guess what? They started to rally. They have been rallying like crazy after the news. Why the heck is that happening? Look at this. This is Hertz. And Hertz, of course, plummeted after the initial plunge here, all the way down to 40 cents. But from this low, look at this. From this low, and let me remind you, this is a bankrupt company. It has rallied 1,250%. You basically made more than 12x your money if you bought a bankrupt stock. And if you go over to J.C. Penney, we do see a similar thing here. J.C. Penney has rallied 180%. Why in the world are people buying stocks that are bankrupt? Once again, I am just going to have to show you this chart because I keep coming back to this, because this is fundamentally the reason for what we're seeing currently in the financial markets. Printing currency and just injecting it straight into the system like this will lead to massive asset appreciation, and we are seeing stocks clearly taking the biggest portion of this newly printed currency. And this is the whole point. This is the whole reason why they are printing currency. So this shouldn't come as a surprise, really, because they are saying to us blatantly that they are printing currency out of nothing. They are printing currency digitally, and they are doing it in unlimited quantities. And they're also saying that they are going to support markets no matter what. And supporting markets no matter what should not equal printing currency, because you're not really supporting markets. You're just supporting the price. But supporting the price is just like putting a band-aid over a huge wound. It won't help the problem. It will only look a little bit better on the outside, but you're not solving the fundamental cause of what is happening around the world. And that is the problem. And this is something that central banks clearly don't understand. Or it's even worse. Maybe they do understand it, but they don't care. They deliberately manipulate the system to to whatever weird agenda they might have. And believe me guys, we will see more stimulus packages, I'm sure. And I know something that needs a stimulus package currently, that is the subscribe button. Make sure to go down below this video and stimulate the subscribe button all the way up to 3 trillion likes. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't seen this video, then click right there right now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.